Hey guys, way too many of you have brought this to my attention, wanted me to talk about it, so I kind of have to. It's that Bloodsport Redux trailer. Some of you even think it's real. This is just a fan made trailer. I'm assuming you've seen it. Had over 2.1 million views. So we're going to play it together and then, I'll play it again and pause and kind of give you my thoughts. But basically, I kind of have to do this video if you think about it. I'm like the Bloodsport guy in a way. Like, I did make the YouTube video, Why Bloodsport's the Greatest Martial Arts Film of All Time. I went so in depth on other videos where I literally broke down who are all the fighters in Bloodsport. Literally, even if these dudes were on screen for like 2 seconds, I wanted to find all that out. So anyway, why not do another Bloodsport video, right? And I gotta say, this trailer is pretty damn amazing. Like, whoever put this together is an absolute genius. It's very well done, and I'm not surprised some of you guys actually thought it was real. So anyway, let's go ahead and play this here.
There's this tournament. It's a big tournament. I'm retired.
47 years later, we're still talking about it. So why do you think he's been able to stand the test of time?
He's a man of honor. Respectable.
They themselves just bullshitted everything and moved everything around, and only the strong survive.
I happen to know for a fact that Dux is telling the truth.
24 years. Why? No next. Who is the next? Nobody.
They've been asking me the same question for the last 25 years.
Shidoshi?
I have poured all my knowledge into you. When you fight, my spirit fight with you.
I start to believe in destiny more than anything else.
So this is going to be our best shot. So I can show Hollywood that it's over. I cannot lose the fight. I'm a champion. I will not lose this fight.
Man, that is... Hang on. God damn it, Ollie. Man, that is so good. I wish they would make that film, you know. I know, I've heard Frank Dux actually has a script called The Real Bloodsport. I don't know what he's going to name it, but I think that's what's referred to as, I don't know if it'll ever get produced, to be honest, but I'd be more interested in this, so kind of doing, I guess, a true sequel. You know, not like the Bloodsport 2, 3, and then the garbage part 4. That I'll have to cover someday in the future, but there were also talks going back to 2010 on like a Bloodsport reboot, which I'm actually glad they never did. Like, I don't think they needed to. But, and then who knows if Frank Dux' script would ever get made, because I know he said the Bloodsport actually, it didn't take place on Hong Kong, it actually took place, like, I think in the Caribbean on some island or something. But this movie would be the most interesting project of all those. Now, if you look at the synopsis real quick, you know, and it's a little different than the trailer, with the trailer kind of makes it look like he's going to fight again, right? But basically, the synopsis: after winning the infamous Kumite, Frank Dux was never seen in public again. Now, we know that's not true. He's been on talk shows and all over the place, right?
If you're a spy, what are you doing on TV telling everyone you're a spy?
Good question.
Years later, a man dubiously claimed to be the great and mysterious martial arts legend. Without any accounts from those who were really there, these stories have remained unchallenged. Until now, a viral video has exposed the imposter, and the search for the real Frank Dux is on. As former opponents come forward, the real Dux is called to come forward and defend the honor of his mentor and teacher, Senzo Tanaka. So there are like parallels with real life. It's kind of interesting because years ago, there was that YouTube video that surfaced, and there was a guy that kind of looked like Frank Dux, and people were saying, hey, this is proof that Dux fought in the Kumite. Now, basically, essentially what happened with that is people said, well, no, that's actually this other guy named Philip Cataray. Yeah, they have websites, for example, usadojo.com, essentially saying it was a French martial artist by the name of Philip Cataray who practiced the art of Iron Hand Kung Fu. These fights took place in Taiwan in 1986. Philip Cataray contacted Frank Dux and asked him to remove all the videos. So, is that true? How do we know that? Like, has Philip Cataray officially come forward? It's hard to say. Like, we could just take that and maybe that's true. I mean, who knows? Maybe that is Frank Dux, you know? Like, I would love to talk to Philip Cataray, for example, or because I don't think he's like, you know, been on YouTube or anything else saying that, but maybe he did contact Dux and asked him to take it down. I don't know. you know, you got to take both things with a grain of salt. Like, is that video footage of Dukes? I don't know. Was it Philip Cottery? I don't know. Did Philip Cottery tell Dukes, like, don't use my footage and say that's you? I don't know, man. It just adds to the mystery of this whole thing with Frank Dukes. Because there's, like, almost enough, like, kernels of truth where you kind of want to believe it, but you really can't either. Like, he'll say, for example, you know, like, his students, because Duke's Ryu Ninjutsu is like a real thing. Like, you can literally go through it and you will acquire some martial arts skills, obviously, and you will get tested and you could reach the black belt level. And apparently he used to show his students who had received that level, like, here's the fight footage and the proof that I am who not only I say I am, but I did what I say I did. Why hasn't that footage come forward? Well, I heard there's a story where, like, his dojo got broken into and he kept it in a safe and somebody stole it. So it's, I don't know, man. Is that, like, just too convenient? Like, it's you think there'd be backup copies? I don't know. It just adds so much to the mystery of Dukes. And then there's that whole Senzo Tanaka. Oh, this guy never really existed, right? And then turns out, well, actually there was a guy named Senzo Tanaka, and he did live in California at the time, and he died, I think, in the 70s. So if you trace his lineage, you'll say, well, he's from, like, a family of farmers. But I think the village he was from in Japan, well, they did have samurais there. Samurais and ninjas. So it's like, I don't know, man. That's an eerie coincidence. And then you could make the excuse, well, Tanaka's a pretty common name in Japan. Yeah, I don't know, man. At the end of the day, it's there's so much mystery surrounding him. Personally, I think there is some truth to it, but I think he probably exaggerated a lot of stuff. That's just, you know, what I think. I don't know. We'll have to do a deep dive on that more, right, in the future. Going back to this trailer real quick, let's actually watch it again and break it down.
There's this tournament. It's a big tournament.
I mean, the music draws you in immediately. It's just beautiful. They got the Warner Brothers logo. They got the tournament. They got this clip. I'm pretty sure this is from The Bouncer, also called Lucas in some regions. This is an amazing Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. I think his best in the last 10 years. Check that out if you haven't seen it yet.
I'm retired.
47 years later, we're still talking about him. So why do you think he's been able to stand the test of time?
He's a man of honor.
I mean, it's just brilliant splicing the footage in. I mean, look at the detail. Ariel Helwani obviously talks for the UFC, and then they got Swan Paredes. Obviously, that's Michelle Kesey, but they got the real Michelle Kesey here. And if you look at that, identity of Kumite champion Dukes revealed as imposter is exposed. So there's parallels in real life. Basically, a lot of people just say Frank Dukes is a fraud, but in this story, you know, apparently somebody is just going around saying they're Frank Dukes. And then, you know, Van Damme's version of Frank Dukes will obviously have to come forward.
Respectable.
They themselves just bullshitted everything and moved everything around.
And see, now you got the real Paco basically talking about it. They must have pulled that from somewhere.
I happen to know for a fact that Dukes is telling the truth.
24 years. Why? Go next.
Oh, and this is obviously a really cool clip. That was on Van Damme's reality show where Bolo was basically saying, you had Bruce Lee and you had Van Damme. There's no next as far as, like, this big, huge breakout martial arts star. But splicing that in here was brilliant.
Who is the next? Nobody.
They've been asking me the same question for the last 25 years.
Oh, this footage right here, by the way, I think this is like some 3D model that somebody made that... Can you imagine? Like, if they made the Bloodsport video game and it looked like this, that would be freaking insane. I hope they actually do make that someday.
Shidoshi? I have poured all my knowledge into you.
That's obviously a clip from Jean-Claude Van Johnson, but it's just brilliant, the use of all these different clips, and then obviously the audio from the film Bloodsport.
When you fight, my spirit fight with you.
I start to believe in destiny more than anything.
But, like, what's the whole point of all this? Like, if you think about it, Frank Dux, Van Damme's character in the film, wanted to represent his Shidoshi, Senzo Tanaka, and basically kind of prove that, you know, to honor him and to prove that like he's the best in the best system and using any technique that works. So obviously that's kind of a Bruce Lee thing. Use what is useful, discard the rest. It's also basically essentially what has happened in the UFC ever since, right? Basically using any technique. But this was really like ahead of its time in a lot of ways.
So this is going to be our best shot. So I can show Hollywood that it's over. I cannot lose the fight. I'm a champion. I will not lose this fight.
You know, it's funny when you see Van Damme talking about he's a champion, he will not lose this fight, and he's hitting the bag. I've heard talk that Van Damme, you know, I know he talked about this in his reality show 10 years ago. He's supposed to fight Cam Singh, that Muay Thai fighter. But there is talk that Van Damme might actually fight. And it's because it's so popular and there's so much interest and money to be made in like these thriller fights that Mike Tyson took part in, and Roy Jones, and, you know, Logan Paul. And you got all these like celebrities or basketball players or etc. fighting. So what do you think? Van Damme fighting? I guess he's like 61 right now. That'd be amazing, you know? And again, like, this trailer kind of parallels real life with, obviously, the Frank Dux. A lot of people think he's a fraud. And then Van Damme. There's even controversy with that because he was kind of, you know, portrayed as, like a kickboxing champion. I did a whole video on that, by the way, you should check out. But, so he did have a fight record. What was it actually kickboxing? Not necessarily the way Don the Dragon Wilson is kickboxed. You know, was it more point fighting? Or was it full contact, but like a karate tournament like Chuck Norris? Check out the video to get more clarity on that, by the way. That's been a pretty popular video. But I'm going to have Don the Dragon Wilson on in the future, by the way. Of course, we're going to talk about Van Damme. Of course, we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. But who knows? Maybe Don the Dragon Wilson will fight again. Maybe we'll get that long-awaited Van Damme versus Don the Dragon Wilson fight. I mean, that would be huge. I'll obviously talk to Don all about that and a lot of other stuff, too. We're even going to talk about Frank Dux, so going to cover a lot of stuff, a lot of future videos with him. But anyway, his trailer's freaking amazing, and the odds of them making it are pretty much next to nothing. Van Damme did say years ago in Australia, you know, maybe like 3 years ago or something, it's like a fan expo type thing. He literally said he wanted to make one more great martial arts like epic. So I know he had this Kumite script, and he had another film script called The Tower. But who knows, man? Maybe they could make this. Maybe they could make this Bloodsport Redux. And what would be amazing... See, the big thing with Frank Dux is, like, where's the proof? If videos did surface, or some sort of proof, or somebody came forward and said, yes, I fought Frank Dux, and they provided proof of somehow, and the Kumite and Frank's stories ended up being real, this movie would make a lot more sense to get made, you know, if that actually were the case. But anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think about this. Would you guys actually be interested in seeing this, or is it just, no, the trailer's enough, we don't really need to re-explore this world anymore?